Thank you for joining us. You're here with First Thursday with Sustainable Tulsa. And I thank you for attending this talk, which is called Talk Zero Waste. And really, this is how this impacts us regarding our quality of life, saving money, and of course, protecting our natural resources. So we're eager to hear from our speakers and presenters today. But before we get started, I really do want to say thank you for joining us. I know time is precious, and thank you for spending that with us. And I hope each of you are staying healthy and safe. And also just want to acknowledge, this last year, of course, has been a big challenge on so many levels for our nation and our companies and organizations, and of course our families. And this first weekend of 2021 has also proven to be full of some challenges and acknowledgments. But I do see this wonderful group of individuals joining us today as the acknowledgement that we have good work to do, each of us, and together. And I'm hopeful for a good 2021. And thanks again for joining us. And I hope you're all doing well. Megan is going to launch a quick poll here. And if you don't mind, take just a few moments to answer those questions while we're beginning. That helps us, of course, examine how we're doing and how well we can do better to improve our program for you. Our team, of course, is working hard to stay online through social media and through First Thursdays, and of course our B2Bs and our scorecard work days and Oklahoma Green Living page. We've of course switched to an all online platform, and we hope in 2021 to start a hybrid approach when it's healthy and safe to do so. But we'll be including some outdoor and socially distanced events, so stay tuned. We are eager to stay connected with you, and we're so glad to have you with us. I want to thank our sponsors of the program today and our new lead sponsor, Williams. Thank you so much to Williams for their support of our program and belief in our program. Of course, also to PSO Company of Oklahoma, thank you. And American Waste Control, Cavanta, the Met, One Oak, Save Our Streams, Spirit Air Systems, TCC McKeon Center for Creativity, and PSO WindChoice. Again, thank you to all of those companies for their support. We literally couldn't do the program without them, and of course without you participating. So give them a virtual round of applause, if you will. We do appreciate so much their support. Also want to thank my board members. Again, in 2020, they have been amazing to support and move us along and get through that year in a positive way. And again, I'm looking forward to working with each of our board members this year. I want to give a thank you to those that have joined us this morning: Carrie Rowland, Mike Lemus, James Williams, Stephanie Cameron, Mike Teague, Aaron Larder, Carolyn Janey, Connor Carroll, Ann Money, and Rick Katarski. And if several others joined, I didn't see that. Give them a virtual round of applause. They've again been such great volunteers to the community and assisting Sustainable Tulsa to do our work. So thank you again to the board. Also want to thank Sustainable Tulsa team, Jill Maud, Megan Hurley, and our newest member, Teresa Kerrigan. Thank you. They have been a great team to work with, and we're really excited about a good 2021. So again, Sustainable Tulsa continues to make a positive impact in our community. We're seeing those results from last year and what we're hoping to get accomplished this year as well. And now more than ever, of course, that support is needed. A small donation can make a difference. And just for a donation of $25, you can be listed on our as a supporter of our Oklahoma Green Living page. And we'd love to see this list really grow this year and have that be a message to the community that we want to see more and more information and action toward sustainable living. So support us today if you can. It all is helpful to keep this program going, and we just appreciate your support. I'd like to turn it over to Megan for a moment to introduce our digital booths. Megan, are you there?
So sorry, I forgot I muted myself. Thank you, Corey. I just wanted to also let you know that our next First Thursday is titled Gardening Anywhere, Getting Around the Obstacles of Time, Space, Money, and Experience. It'll be on Thursday, February 4th, 12 to 1 p.m. with Dr. Shelley Mitchell from the Oklahoma State University. So very excited about that. And now we'll move on to digital booths. First up, we have Williams, our lead sponsor.
We've been around for over 100 years. And the reason that we have is because we always try to do the right thing. We have a culture of doing that. We don't try to cut corners, and we try to do our business in the right way. And that means that we pick strategies that we think are durable and will be around for the long haul as well. So our commitment and vision for sustainability is one that's very concrete and very practical. Since 2012, we started reducing our methane emissions, and we've now reduced them by 41%. For a company that handles 30% of the nation's natural gas, reducing our emissions by that amount is very meaningful. And by 2030, we fully intend to have our greenhouse gas emissions reduced by 56%.
Thank you, Williams. Up next, we have PSO. Does your business need a boost? Enroll your business and earn cash as a PSO peak performer. Participants simply reduce electricity consumption upon notification of peak events, summer days when temperatures are high and everyone is cranking up their cooling units. PSO will then pay you cash for the electricity you didn't use. It's that simple. You can be earning cash for your company while you can't be earning cash for your company while at the same time saving power for our community. Please contact Nanette here for questions in details. Thank you so much, PSO. Up next, we have American Waste Control. Amanda, are you on with us?
I am, yes, thank you. Yeah, we specialize in single stream recycling, waste to energy, and wood recycling. So we are happy to offer all those services to any company. We service a good portion of Oklahoma, and now work with several municipalities for the curbside recycling. We are supplying around 25,000 Oklahomans every day with electricity from the methane gas we capture at our landfill. And we're a part of the initiative to bring wood recycling to the Tulsa area recently with partnering with Eco Wood, and very proud of that. If you have any questions at all, you can contact me by phone or email.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. We are actually about to clean out my garage, and we have a lot of wood. My partner builds a lot of furniture. So
I could help you.
Thank you. All right. Up next, we have the Met. Allie, are you on with us?
I am. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to let everyone know that our new paper directory is out. If anyone would like a copy of that, our 2021 recycling directory, just give us a call at our main office and we can mail it to you. Our phone number is 918-584-0584. And then, of course, you can always find our directory online at metrecycle.com or our app, which is recyclethistulsa.com.
Awesome. And you provided this awesome holiday recycling guide as well. And we'll share a link to it with the recording that goes out tomorrow. So valuable information. I know we're all still kind of cleaning up from the holiday season. So thank you. All right. Up next, we have Save Our Streams. We've got a quick little video from them.
With every raindrop and every stream, water impacts the world around us every day. But all the little things we do can build up in a big, big way. Together, we can make a difference in our streams, in our water, in our city. Every yard, every street is an opportunity to help protect our water, our wildlife, and our community. You and I can do our part together.
Awesome. And we have a couple of quick updates from them as well. You no longer need to make an appointment for household pollutant collection facility there, which is fantastic. So if you've got some like paint or anything that you need to dispose of, this is who you need to go to. So please contact them. And also they're currently working on their virtual creek cleanup for the spring. Very exciting stuff. Thank you, Dustin Jaggers. I think he's on the call with us today, so he'll be able to answer any questions you guys have. And then TCC is with us. We will be back at TCC eventually once we get to meet in person. They have a fantastic facility over there at McKeon, the Creative Center. So sorry, thank you. So many TCC facilities. But we have TCC is been instrumental in helping with sustainability in our community. And then finally, we have Ecotastic. They are joining us today because they are part of helping bring zero waste to Tulsa. Do we have Ecotastic on the call with us today?
Yes, I'm on. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Angie. Thank you.
So I'm Angie Repture. I'm the owner of Ecotastic Refill Station, and we are the Tulsa area's first refill station. And I challenge everyone on the call today to join the refill revolution with me and the rest of my customers. So let's talk about plastics. We all know that's the problem. It cannot be infinitely recycled like other things such as aluminum. So we really need to think about how we're using plastics. And so our mission at Ecotastic Refill Station is to provide a local solution for household cleaning supplies and personal hygiene products that are not only easy to go green with by having refills, but they're also better for the environment. They're better for your skin. And our vision is that we become the catalyst to help drive our communities to not only recycle, but reuse, refill, also reduce, don't use as much. So we are located, if you want to go to the last page, Megan, we're located on Jinx Main Street. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 6. And again, I just challenge everyone to visit the store and join the refill revolution. So thanks so much for the time today, Megan.
Thank you, Angie. We look forward to checking out your store. I'm super excited to swing by. Yeah. Okay, Corey, back to you.
Okay, again, thank you. Already some great tips and information out there. So excited to hear what else we have today in store. So thank you all to you all for sharing those tips. Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Libby Billings, and she is the owner of Elote Cafe and Catering and The Vault and Roppongi. Billings is a Tulsa native, Booker T. Washington Hornet, and OSU IT culinary school graduate, local foods enthusiast, and a proud mother. Billings opened Elote in 2008 with 5 employees and a $30,000 SBA business loan. Since then, Billings has opened 2 more restaurants, added 60 employees, and she has been credited with the revitalization of the Deco District after forming and residing as president of the Deco District Neighborhood Association for this first 5 years. During those years, she brought crowds to downtown Tulsa with Salsa Fest and the Chihuahua Race with Sustainable Tulsa, and the pop-up shops, Chalk Fest, and of course the Luchadors. In addition to her focus on urban revitalization, Billings leads Tulsa's restaurant industry with her commitment to local foods, vegetarian menu options, and sustainability. Elote was the first restaurant to recycle, compost, and use biodegradable to-go boxes in Tulsa. Billings has no investors and is proud to be a role model for other women and girls who want to follow their entrepreneurial dreams. Libby is also a past Sustainable Tulsa board member, and we held our first Thursday in the back room at Elote. So thank you, Libby. And Libby, we look forward to hearing what you have to say. We always learn something from you. So welcome, Libby.
Okay. All right. Well, my name is Libby Billings. As Corey said, thank you for that introduction. And I'm going to kind of get right to it. I mean, if you have not been to my restaurants, I encourage you to come check them out. But I wanted to give you guys some actionable items today on what you can do in your own businesses to be more sustainable. So we can just flip to my first slide. Okay, so styrofoam. I mean, ditching the styrofoam is really the first thing you can do. Whenever I opened Elote, which is my first restaurant, I opened it about 12 and a half years ago. I knew that I loved the restaurant industry. I loved cooking. I loved hosting for people, but I knew that it was a very wasteful environment, and it just broke my heart how much waste there was. So I knew whenever I opened a Lotte that I would not use any styrofoam. I did in the beginning have to use some single-use plastic, and like throughout time over the past 12 and a half years, we've managed to be able to completely ditch single-use plastic at a Lotte and the Vault. We only have one thing that's single-use plastic at Roppongi, which is the boba straws that we're trying to get rid of. But ditching styrofoam was one of the first things that I did. So we've never had any styrofoam in the restaurants. It is more expensive to go the eco-friendly route, but you can save money in so many other areas that I think it's really important to just go ahead and get rid of that. So maybe you're using styrofoam cups in your break room at your office. Maybe you have styrofoam to-go boxes in your cupboards that you use for employees to take home food with. Whatever it may be, it's really a simple thing to just get rid of and just kind of be 100% styrofoam free. So that is the first thing I can say you can do it. And if you look at my slide, you can see all of our non-plastic, non-styrofoam to-go containers. So next slide. Okay, so the next thing is getting rid of single-use plastic. And what I will say is, for me, this was a journey. We still have to use latex gloves, which are required by the health department. But single-use plastic, like plastic forks, plastic to-go cups, etc., we don't use. Over time, we've found some alternatives that kind of replicate plastic. So in this picture, you can see that we were using a green straw that was made out of like biodegradable corn and sugar beets, I believe. So what we found out though is that that actually took a long time to biodegrade. We compost, and I would put those in my own personal home composter, and the real fibrous to-go boxes decomposed very quickly, but the straws didn't. So while they said they were biodegradable, I knew that it was really taking longer. So what we've done is we've continued to look for alternative products. And I really think it's important to stick with being sustainable, because like I said, this was the first product that we were able to get, but over time there's been a lot of advancements. So one of the advancements is a hay straw. And so our straws that we use for our to-go drinks now are actually like a piece of hay. But we don't have to order very many of those because we have switched to metal straws for inside the restaurants. And so it's interesting because people will give you a little bit of pushback for some of the environmentally friendly practices that you might adopt in your office or whatever your business may be. But really just educating yourself and being prepared to kind of gently combat those things, I think is really important. So for us, the metal straws, some people were really excited and really happy that we were using metal straws, and some people were really uncomfortable with them. And we would often hear people say like, "Ooh, I don't want to put that metal straw in my mouth. It's been in other people's mouths." And what we would nicely say is, we wash it the same way that we wash the metal fork that is also in other people's mouths. And quickly people were like, "Oh, I didn't even think about that." So they were used to this one product, a fork, but they weren't used to a metal straw. So I will just say that when you ditch the single-use plastic, doing things that you can reuse, like if you have plastic forks in your office or plastic cups, just switch to, what you can reuse. And if people are kind of push back a little bit on it, just educate yourself so that you can explain that to them. Another thing I really think is important for us is at the restaurants is that we do have to make money. Obviously, profitability is really important. And so sometimes buying the eco-friendly alternative can be more expensive, but just not buying the alternative, instead just only having glasses or coffee mugs, in your office is actually more affordable, because you're not having to buy something that is disposable. And so often whenever I do get a little pushback from my employees, for example, about something that we're doing, I just kind of say like, "Would you do that in your home? Like, would you buy a to-go cup of coffee in your home?" Like, well, of course not, or hopefully not. And so sometimes relating it like budget wise, like we're doing this to better the environment, but we're also doing this because we want to be more profitable as well. So I do think sometimes that's important in relating to your employees on this thing. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is on the chalkboard inside a Lotte. A lot of people haven't seen it because most people are not dining indoors right now. But when things get back to normal and you can wait in line at a Lotte for some delicious eco-friendly Mexican fare, you can read this on our chalkboard. And we sort of update this from time to time just to talk about what we're doing that positively impacts the environment. And so what I have found when I first opened a Lotte, I didn't really brag about what I was doing. sort of backstory is that I was raised vegetarian. My parents, we didn't have Ziploc baggies and we didn't have paper towels and stuff like that in our home, which is also how I'm raising my children. But it just kind of came second nature for me to do these things. So when I opened the restaurant and I wanted to have, you know, biodegradable to-go boxes, and if I was going to serve meat, I wanted it to be ethically farmed. I wasn't very good at bragging about that. And people told me, like, you have to brag about that because people want to support you. So if you do these things in your office, in your company, it is important to kind of brag about it. Even if it doesn't come intuitively to you, it is important to talk about it. And I really feel like because we talk about what we're doing and because we try to be good stewards to our community and to our environment, we haven't been impacted as much by the pandemic in regards to our sales. Don't get me wrong, they're down, but compared to some of my other friends that own restaurants, ours are not down as much. And I think it's because we have a loyal following that knows that we have always put the planet over, you know, put our planet and our people over our profit. And so they see that and they want to continue supporting us because they want us to be around for a long time. So this one talks about some statistics in regards to single-use plastic, styrofoam, how important it is to compost, and then just what we do. So there you go. Next. Okay, so nobody really likes to look at a picture of your trash, but I thought I would show this anyways. This is what our buster closet looks like at any one of our restaurants. And so on the left is our trash can, which although that looks kind of full, honestly, if you push that down, it's pretty much exclusively our latex gloves that we are required to use per health code, as well as our wax chip paper. But that pretty much could be pushed all the way down. And then behind it is our recycling. And then to the right is the yellow bucket that has where we compost everything. And then in the center, it's like a little strainer that we pour out to catch things that can compost and also to make sure we don't accidentally throw away those metal straws, forks, etc. Because another important thing, you know, when they say reduce, reuse, recycle, reduce is always the most important, the first thing listed, and that's because the way to be the most green is to reduce having to purchase something else. So just using less stuff, essentially. So it's important to us, not only from an economic standpoint, but also from an environmental standpoint, to just not be wasteful. So even though you can get, you know, a dozen forks for super cheap, you know, have them delivered in 24 hours. I don't want to do that. I would rather take that extra step. So when we first implemented this with our staff, it was extra steps, but now it's just something that we do. And I have to be honest, my crews at all the restaurants really love what we do. And it really, they feel like they're doing more than just working at a restaurant, you know, that they really are positively impacting our community and our environment. And nothing makes me happier than whenever one of my staff, like, you know, brings in a 6-pack of beer from home to put in our recycling because maybe they don't have that option at their house, and they're so, you know, they want to do that. So when they start taking these practices that we implement at Elote to the vault in Roppongi, when they start taking those home, it just means a lot to me. So, all right, next. Okay, this is Natalie, my gal from Full Sun Composting. So Natalie picks up our compost. Elote and the vault and Roppongi have been composting since day one, but we were not fortunate enough in the beginning to have a composting company in Tulsa. And so we connected originally with some farmers, and throughout our first maybe, gosh, I don't know, probably 8-9 years, we were just randomly calling farmers and saying, would you like our compost? And we made it work, but it was definitely not as organized and streamlined as it is today. So we are really fortunate in Tulsa to have Natalie and her crew. Her info is down there. Another amazing thing that Natalie has done is that she keeps track of how much food waste has been diverted. So when she saw that I was going to be presenting here, she was like, let me get you some numbers. So I was totally impressed to see that 30,000 pounds of food waste has been diverted since 2018. And that every month we essentially take the equivalent of one car off the road when it comes to CO2 emissions. And I would like to say that this is just since 2018. Elote has been around since 2008, and we've been composting the whole time. The vault and Roppongi as well have been composting the entire time. We just now have this amazing service. So I encourage anyone who's thinking about composting. I compost at my home as well, but I just have a compost bin. But I do know some people maybe don't have a yard, or they worry about like attracting pests or something like that. So you can actually utilize their service residentially, which is really cool. And I imagine at offices, you could utilize their service as well. So Natalie brings us these empty buckets, and we fill them with compost. We have larger containers out behind the restaurant where we pour these buckets into, but there's one in the bar for our lemons and limes. There's one in the kitchen for our food waste, coffee grounds, etc. And so it's really simple. They clamp tight and it makes it really easy to compost. So thank you, Natalie. Okay, and then Amanda is my girl. You guys heard from her earlier with American Waste. And so we are using the single stream recycling, which has made it very much easier to recycle. Again, in the beginning days of Elote, there was nobody who offered single stream recycling in Tulsa. There was one wonderful gal named Kristen McCormick who had Shakoba Recycling, and she was kind of a one-man show doing recycling in Tulsa. And she's no longer in business, but was picking up our recycling for many, many years. And now American Waste offers that service. And Amanda, I didn't get to put on this slide, but Amanda got me some stats from 2019, which is that we have diverted 2,112 cubic yards or 327,360 pounds of recycling. So that could have been thrown in the trash. And instead it was recycled. So that is just, those are, again, incredible numbers just from the past year and a half. And that's just from Elote's. So anyways, I highly recommend that you guys, if you can, use their services because it is so easy. That's cardboard, that's plastic, that's aluminum, all of it together. You don't have to separate any of it. So pretty great stuff. Okay, next. Okay. So the next thing that I would just say as what can really help if you do want to put together a sustainability plan for your business and maybe you aren't the person, like I have 3 restaurants and also a big family and all sorts of things drawing me every which different direction. And I used to come into the restaurants and get a little frustrated because I might implement a new strategy, but it wasn't being adopted by my team. So I think it's really important to find an employee who really believes in what you're doing. So this is Ashton. He's my general manager at Elote. And, Ashton's the guy that brings his own aluminum water bottle to work every single day. And Ashton's the guy that composts at his own house. And so he is a great person, was a great person for me to choose to kind of spearhead this endeavor at Elote specifically. So I encourage you, if this is something you want to adopt, that you get a team that believes in it as well, because they're going to be more likely to do that. The other thing is that, Ashton also looks for ways that we can be more environmentally friendly and we can also save money at the same time. He's part of a profit sharing program at Elote, and so that's important to him as well. But part of it is saving money so that we can make the extra choices like, buying more local produce or those kind of things. So I encourage you to find a team of your employees to help with this. Next. Okay, so this is just, it is really important. Well, I'll just say don't listen to the naysayers. When you start doing things like, for example, the metal straws, we did have people that gave us pushback. But if you stick with it, you'll find that change is hard and people will adapt to it. And so this is just, this is outside of one of our festivals. Elote puts on a huge Cinco de Mayo festival. Hopefully we'll be able to do it again this year. We'll see. But we put on a huge Cinco de Mayo festival and we do not want to have plastic bottles of water there because it's horrible for the environment. So in lieu of plastic bottles of water, what we've done for the past 2 years is that we have borrowed these huge water monsters from the individuals that put on the Tulsa Run, and we fill them with water. And then instead of, we offer that people bring their own water bottles, or we'll give out our essentially like an Eskimo Joe's cup that has Elote's logo on it. And then we recycle those, we reuse them in the restaurant afterwards, or we wash them, etc. So even though that was a little bit harder in the beginning to wrap our heads around, because it would obviously be a lot more convenient to drive to Sam's Club and get a pallet of water and sell them, this just made more sense and aligned more with our ethics and what we wanted to do. So I encourage you to look at other ways of doing things. And it wouldn't surprise me if, similarly to American Waste adopting recycling and Natalie going into business as a composter, that someday somebody could have this as a business, and it would make my life easier to not have to borrow this and get a hose and fill it up, etc., but for it to be a service that's provided. So I want to say, don't listen to the naysayers, but also stick with it, because it has been significantly easier to adopt these environmentally friendly practices as time has gone on, because more people are asking for them. So I'm continuously asking for, from my food purveyor, like, do you have something different in regards to to-go packaging, et cetera? And over time, we have gotten a lot better options. So stick with it. And if people say no, just kindly smile and then keep on trucking. So next. Okay, and then this is, I just saw this and I thought it was so darn cute. I was on my bike and it's just on the bike path. It just says, I love you to recycle. Please remember to recycle. And obviously this was put on by or made by a cute little kid who just wanted to spread the good word. And I do think it's really important that like activism is very important, but I think the way delivering the message in the kindest way you possibly can does help significantly. And so I try not to, I try to deliver the message as nicely as I possibly can and give people alternatives without scaring people off. So if the best you can do right now is to eliminate your styrofoam, you're taking a step in the right direction, and maybe make a goal for the next year to try something harder. But don't feel like, you have to go zero waste immediately, or that you have to live up to this standard, because it really is, it has taken a long time. And my restaurants are more and more, we have less and less waste over each year. We're constantly looking at things to do. But I think it's really important that the message is spread with kindness. So there's that. And then this is my shameless plug, last but definitely not least, is just that you can spend some green with a company that cares. And so here's a list some things that we do. And so I've got 3 restaurants. They're all in downtown. I'd love for you guys to come see me at any one of them, or do curbside. We have curbside. For your to-go orders needs, we have all 3 restaurants have heated patios. We've been really responsive to the pandemic and making every effort to uphold the mask mandate, to take good care of our people and our customers. And if you have any questions about specifics over this presentation, or something that like maybe only I could respond to, for 2021, I'm trying to give up emailing. So here's my cell phone number. You can shoot me a text. If you want to do something, if you want to make a reservation at the restaurants or order to go or anything like that, you can go to any one of my websites and you can order right there, and we'll go from there. So anyways, thank you guys very much for listening, and I'll take any questions at some point, I assume. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Libby. Always great information. You've definitely been the leading the business community, and also personally, just with all your actions. So thank you. And I know you're on the road today, so thank you for taking a moment to be with us. And I'm sure we'll get we'll get questions here in a little bit to you. But our second presentation was to be by Ashley Bath. But unfortunately, she had a family emergency and was not able to join us today. And so our hearts are with her. But instead, our team quickly pulled together to be able to share a few tips about how we're reducing waste in our own homes. So without further ado, I'll pass that over back to Megan.
Hi, everybody. I'm very excited to be sharing with you some of the things that I do. And I'm going to also give you kind of an event planner perspective as well. So let's get right to it. So what is zero waste? Well, zero waste is a set of principles focused on waste prevention. And what we're doing is just redesigning that kind of cycle that we get into with where we buy stuff and then we throw stuff away and we buy more stuff. So we're trying to shift focus and reuse items, reducing items. There's the 5 R's, refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and one more. But the goal is for no trash to be sent to landfills, incinerators, or the ocean. So I know there's a lot of stigma around zero waste, and what today's talk is geared to do is really just showing you ways that you can just start with reducing your waste. No one is perfect. We have many trials and tribulations through this whole process, but it's important that you do something, that you try something, and hopefully you'll pick something up today that you want to try in your own home or business. So what are we really wasting? Well, we're wasting the environment, we're hurting the environment, we're wasting energy, whether emissions or just our own physical energy put into going back and forth buying things and throwing away and getting them again. Resources, including money, our time, our health, and then we're also wasting opportunities. We could learn a new skill, we could connect with our community, and that's what the real waste is. Trying to track through these, the whole thing with the zero waste is it's not about just reduce, reuse, and recycle. It is an ecosystem. And I want to say thank you to Ashley Bath for these slides. She did get us our slides. She was planning on being here, guys. She is a fantastic person. If you haven't connected with her, she is with Tulsa Parks, and she is doing some really cool things with community gardens and everything over at Tulsa Parks. So please reach out to her, send her some love. But this is kind of more about the ecosystem here. We've got swapping and sharing. I know there are neighborhood groups. We have a Facebook group with my neighborhood, and we share and swap things all the time. We give away stuff that we don't want anymore, or we get stuff that somebody else is giving away. And then just reflect and rethink the way that we buy things. And then also a big thing is secondhand shopping. It is one way that people can buy awesome clothes for a cheaper price. And then also it's just stretching out that life of those clothes. Clothes are a huge problem in our landfills right now. So definitely check out these options and see what you can do to make a difference. So I'm talking about how we can stop the waste from entering our house. The first big thing is refuse. And I know that sounds hard at times, especially when people are giving away free stuff, but refusing the item before it actually gets to your house means that it's less of a hassle for you when it gets into your home. Big thing, single-use plastics. That is the biggest problem, and it's the thing that we can eliminate the easiest. Swag, stuff we all get. I know we've all been to a festival. I know we've gotten things. Don't take it. I know it's tempting. Don't take that pen. You don't need the pen. The pen is just going to go in the trash. And then another big thing is unnecessary packaging. If I go to the store to get a couple of items at the store, just like you do at Aldi and Costco and Sam's, if I can carry it out, I'm going to carry it out, or I put it in a cardboard box and break it down and I recycle it. But I don't take extra bags if I don't need them. If I go pick up a to-go order, if it's a box, I just take it out. I don't need the bag, and I definitely don't need the utensils that come with it. I'm going home. I'm working from home now, so I'm going to use my utensils at home that I can wash. Reduce. And the two big pieces of reducing are research and rethinking. See if you can get the item before you buy it. See if you can get it from a local option, local source. One that's keeping the money in our community, and then also it is cutting down on shipping, which is cutting carbon emissions. And then I can't tell you how much I hate seeing styrofoam come in with items that I purchase online. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. So if you can get it in the community, do that, and then you can pick it up. Do you need it new? Or can you use it as a used item? So we've got several links that Teresa's going to share later that were places where you can get used items for either free or a really reduced price. And then product quality and longevity. I know a lot of us are on a budget. I know we are dealing with a pandemic and cut wages, but it's better to invest in a product that's going to last a long time than buying something that's going to last for a very short time. And that goes for every single item that is in your house. And then the next thing is rethinking it. Do you really need it? Can you make it yourself? And can you rent it or borrow it? Which brings me to my next slide, which is all about the event industry, which is one of the most wasteful industries out there. And as an event planner, this is what I've dealt with. And we've been working on with Sustainable Tulsa, and we will be getting back to as we emerge from our cocoons later this year. But with our events, the big thing that we've been focusing on is thinking about every single piece of the puzzle to make an event happen. And then we've been working with our vendors to reduce the waste that actually comes to us. So again, that philosophy works for business and for home. So for example, Abco and Party Pro, they are two major companies that we work with for various events. And instead of getting our linens wrapped in plastic and on disposable hangers, we bring a crate or a box for them to put them in, a reusable box. And then we take those and we bring it back to them. If you're doing an event at your home, don't buy the paper plates. Rent really nice china for 50 cents a piece at Abco. It's that simple. So you can still have really nice, fun, event stuff, but you can rent it. So rent china, glassware, cutlery, cloth and napkins. And then limit the printing. Use chalkboards, whiteboards. If you are going to print something, make sure you can recycle it afterwards. And then if you have an event where there is food being catered, talk to your caterer about food prep and composting. I know Natalie has worked with many different catering groups, reducing that food waste or actually taking that food waste and composting it for them. And then at the event itself, how are you going to dispose of that food? Don't order extra food. It is one of the biggest issues because a lot of places can't take that food after it's been out on the chafing dishes. So it just goes to waste. So don't do that. Really look at those items. And then have properly labeled bins at your event on hand. Recycle, composting, and then a small bin for trash. Encourage people to recycle and compost before they trash it. One big thing that Sustainable Tulsa does is we, at our recharge event, we have reusable drinking cups. It is one of the biggest ways that we eliminated trash. So no more water bottles. Don't have water bottles at an event. Do exactly what Libby did. So that's it for me. I'm going to turn it over to Corey now.
Thanks, Megan. Great information. Appreciate that. And with your years in the event industry, I'm sure you have started to see, hopefully you're seeing some positive changes. I'm seeing some comments in the chat about that as well. But I'm going to be really brief and get to the basics when it comes to the kitchen. So next slide, Megan. First thing, some of these things we know many of you may already have started and maybe you stopped, but pick them back up. It's easy. Get rid of those plastic bags coming home. It's clutter. That's quality of life issue. There's no reason to waste a single-use plastic item, and it's easy to do. It's just changing your habits. We've given out these reusable bags over the years to our members, and they're easy to have for not just the grocery store, but any store you're going to, or maybe you don't need a bag at all. So that is a very simple step, and many of us are doing it, and try to do it every time if you can. It makes a difference. Another thing just to point out, when you have options when you go to the store, look at the packaging. Is it recyclable? Is it recyclable here in Tulsa? And choose something that is over something that's not. And a lot of items are have plastic wraps that are not recyclable. Avoid those if you can for the same quality product, and look for those. Of course, going bulk, I know with the pandemic, it's a little tougher. They've kind of closed some of that down, but when it comes back, it's a great way to cut waste. And then when you're buying items that are in those glass jars, upcycle. I know recently I bought some basil. We ran out, used that, and we had this little jar left, and I used that to put flowers in for a friend. And so when you do things like that, then your friend receives it and it's like, well, that's a creative resource. And you start sharing those ideas just by your own action. So I encourage that. The two things, next slide, that I am that I just think are a must for our family for sure. But just encourage you, if you want to start somewhere to get rid of plastic or waste, reusable containers, those glass containers, easy. I recommend clear ones because when they're opaque, it's hard to remember what's in there and you get into food waste. But this is an easy way to get rid of that plastic wrap, plastic bags. And they're really not that expensive. They're durable, made out of glass, and the lids are durable. So I would say if you were doing one first thing to get rid of plastic, here's one thing that you can do. But also, it feels good to compost. It's easy to do. It doesn't have to be complicated. We've heard about full sun composting. You can come and pick it up from you, or you can easily do that in your backyard. We'll learn more this year about it. But it feels good to waste less. There is a sense of quality life that comes to you, and also you can save money doing that. These are the two things. Want to keep it simple. Pick something your family can accomplish, and we're going to talk a little bit more of that in a minute. But back to you, Megan. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Jill, you're next.
Sure. Hi, I was just going to talk a bit about kind of my food waste journey as I've been here in Tulsa. And really it started with food prep. I just noticed how much celery I threw away. You know, I made it through those first few stalks, and then I had a big moldy pile of celery in the crisper, and realized if I prepped a bit ahead of time and chopped a few extra stalks of celery and froze them individually in the freezer, I saved time in the future and I wasted less celery. And other things fit in that category. You know, those little cans of tomato paste, I never use a full can at one time. And so if I freeze it in my ice cube tray, I can pull out just what I need when I need it. And then we began to look locally in Tulsa at what other options we had with our food choices, and came upon buying a quarter or a half a cow instead of buying individually wrapped meats at the grocery store. And it gave us a local option, so less handling between the cow and me. And I got to choose the cuts that I wanted and how it was cut, how much meat was in a package, et cetera, and then use more of the cow, you know, explore how to make oxtail soup because now I have oxtail, you know, feed the dog liver because now I have liver, and things like that. And then expanding and looking at produce grown locally. We had some really lovely farmers markets that we visited, but the convenience of a delivered produce bag on a regular basis really opened things up for us, but we had to be intentional with its usage to prevent food waste. You know, what things expire first, using the arugula within the first couple of days and saving the sweet potatoes for later in the week. And all of that kind of wraps up in storage. And we'd been using glass storage for a while for leftovers, but the silicone bags that have come out lately have been really helpful for using single-use freezer items for the tomato paste and the celery. They do really well. They're dishwasher safe in the top rack, so I don't have to hand wash anything. And the kids like them for their lunch boxes. So we have gotten rid of plastic baggies in our kitchen. And so kind of my next step in our evolution, we've started thinking about composting, and if I can get brave enough, hopefully we can start that journey. So I will hand it off to Teresa.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Teresa Kerrigan. I'm the new scorecard manager here at Sustainable Tulsa. And I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of the tail end of zero waste. So you have it in your house now. What are you going to do with it? The major portion of what I'd like to talk about are electronics. For particular reasons, some of you may be wondering why there's a gorilla here. I will explain the gorilla. But the opportunity here is really enormous to have an impact. I wanted to say a quick word about printer cartridges. Printer cartridges can be refilled at home. You can buy a kit online with something that looks like a syringe. It is a syringe, basically, to refill your printer cartridges if you don't want to take them to a facility to recycle or have them refill them. It's a really affordable option. But many of our electronics today, video game consoles, cell phones, laptop computers, tablets, contain a conflict mineral called coltan. And coltan, 80% of the world's coltan supply is in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in the east of that country. And mining of coltan not only funds conflict there, but also leads to immense habitat destruction for endangered gorillas there. And so by taking these steps, you also help to impact gorilla habitat. And so it's just one example of the way that the chain all comes together. And we want to help you guys close the loop on this cycle and help you with your zero waste journey. Repairing locally is obviously preferable, but sometimes specialty electronics need to be sent in by mail, and there are a lot of options for that. Regifting things that have passed their useful life for you, and also repairing something like a battery through replacement. You can recycle the battery in your phone and replace it. There's a wonderful group called iFixit, which not only sells original equipment manufactured parts, but also helps, provides videos on how to do that sort of thing. So for instance, I have replaced the screen on my phone, I've replaced the battery in my mother's phone, and so that can also help increase the longevity of what you already have and keep it out of a landfill that much longer. Giving used electronics to libraries, schools, domestic violence shelters often take secondhand cell phones because even without a plan, you can still dial 911 on a cell phone. And recycling with the vendor whenever you can, when something has really truly come to the end of its useful life. Many vendors will give you a percentage discount towards your next purchase with them if you choose to recycle your previous items with them. The reputable reseller I wanted to mention there, I'll provide a link for, and that's Back Market. They do a wonderful job. They come with a 30-day return policy and a 1-year warranty in most cases, which gets around a lot of the concern about buying secondhand electronics on Craigslist, for instance, and having that guarantee and a reputable business standing behind a secondhand item can make a big difference for some people. That's where I buy my phones. Sometimes, so there's a concept, you may be familiar with apartment therapy, and they have a concept of an outbox. So we talk about zero waste often, and we think about composting, we think about recycling, and reducing our trash. One of the ways to do that also is to have a second category besides trash and recycling, composting, that kind of waste, but an outbox that you are going to take somewhere else, that these things still have useful life and they can go to someone else. And so I wanted to provide you with some resources for where those things that you find in your home can go. Habitat for Humanity restores are fantastic. All sorts of construction stuff, old footy bathtubs, kitchen cabinets, really beautiful things. Also, if you're looking to source construction materials for your home, tile, things, unexpected things. Clothes in good condition, we're all familiar with Goodwill. But the other option right now, especially during pandemic, ThreadUp is an online retailer that will, or reseller, I suppose, that works on consignment, and they will mail you a pre-postage paid bag. So you can put your things in it, send it off to them, and they'll sort through it. Old bedding, I actually checked with ARF House specifically here in Tulsa, and they accept blankets and towels that are beyond kind of household use. I know that many of us also reuse sheets, towels, that sort of thing as rags and reduce waste in that way as well. Having a big rag bag can be super helpful, and then it all just goes on a heavy duty cycle in the washer. Magazines can also find a second life. Stationery is often welcome at assisted living facilities. The same with office supplies, pens, that sort of thing. We all know a school teacher who is always looking for pens. Books, Tulsa is so lucky. We have just a wealth of secondhand bookstores, and I cannot wait to check them out. But many of them also will give you some money for your secondhand books in good condition. Furniture also, this has gone online, and my next slide will show you some of those options as well. That's it from me. I'll be sure to send these out.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Corey, I think we're ready for, we've got a couple of members that have a couple quick ideas, is that correct?
Yeah, thank you so much, Teresa. Great information. If T.O. Bowman is still with us, I know he has to jump off real quick. Love for him to share a couple tips out of Oklahoma City. He's the Oklahoma City Sustainability Director. Are you still there?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Well, those were really great presentations and quite thorough. So I'll try to fall in between the gaps there, but nothing too groundbreaking going on here as far as how I reduce waste. But one of my favorites, and most of my favorites, were pre-COVID habits that I had developed, and I kind of miss. It's a lot easier to compost now, but I used to prepare, make coffee every day and at the office. And again, I think the main message I want to share is don't be afraid to talk to people about what you're doing or why you're doing it, or don't do it in a secretive manner. We recently signed up for glass recycling here too at our house. Our curbside program collects it, but we're unclear, on how much of that actually makes it to a recycling facility and from the city program. And so that's something that Fertile Ground, much like Full Sun up in Tulsa does. Fertile Ground is here in Oklahoma City, does compost collections at home, but they also have started piecemeal glass recycling and things. And so that's something that's been helpful, that we've been able to target. A couple of neighbors have noticed that I set a bin out every a couple of weeks for glass. And so it's something that I've started to direct their glass into my shared bin. So again, don't be afraid to talk to people and share, in the same vein as sharing and swapping tools and that type of thing. So anyway, I'll leave you with that.
Thank you so much, Tio. We hope to see you more with First Thursdays and B2Bs. Great information and doing some unique stuff over there in Oklahoma City as well. I think we also have on the call is Carrie Rowland, our board president. She had a little quick, easy tip for us. Are you there, Carrie?
Yeah, I am. So one of the things that we've done in the Rowland household is we have learned the art of espresso coffee. And we are planning to reduce our trips to Starbucks significantly. Not only will this help with our pocketbook, I mean, we think we'll save probably $3,000 to $4,000 a year, which is crazy to be spending that much. But think of all those plastic cups and lids and driving to the store. So look online, you can get one of these little espresso makers, get your espresso and just enjoy homemade coffee.
Thank you so much, Carrie, and probably a whole bunch of local options too. So if you know some, post them in here as well. And then our last, thank you so much, Carrie. Our last one is, I know we heard from Amanda, but she's got some few things that she does at home, especially when it comes to kiddos. So are you there, Amanda, just to give us one last little tip for the day?
Sure, yeah. The big thing for me that I did in 2020 is I opted out of junk mail. That was like the craziest thing ever. I couldn't believe how much I reduced my waste by doing that. You could do it for 5 years or permanently. So I went ahead and permanently got out of the junk mail scene, which is I get 2 or 3 letters a week, and that's about it, versus the stack I used to get every week when I go check my post office. Also, I buy in bulk, as far as I live with a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, so they're snack aholics, and so we're always on the go. So I keep little containers of the snacks ready to go, and little to-go cups in the refrigerator, because they can just grab their cup of water and we can head out. And last but not least, we do a lot of local farmers. We buy from farmers markets, and then we also deal with Robinson Ranch, and I return the glass jars from the elderberry syrup and the reusable bags back to them. They take those back, and that has been a huge cutback on our waste this year. So last year, I guess, and this year.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure on this call, and we're seeing in the chat, thank you, Amanda, there's so many great ideas. Somebody just asked, how did you stop your junk mail? So if you could put it there in the chat,
Sure.
that'd be great. So anyway, really great information. I know we're just kind of a minute over, but we have just a few more things to share. And Megan, I'm gonna pass it over to you. Thank you all so much for all your ideas. Stay tuned. We have one more exciting announcement. Go ahead, Megan.
Thank you, Corey. Yes, this is obviously such a wide ranging topic, so there's a lot to cover. So what we want to do is this year, we are going to turn all of our talks and education into action. And that's really exciting. And I know you guys have all been waiting for something like this. So we are announcing our first of our monthly sustainability challenges. So our first one is eliminating one single-use plastic from your home. It is possible. You guys can do this. I'm already picking the one item I'm eliminating this month, and I'm excited to do this. So our goal is that if we can start doing these action items every month, it takes 21 days to form a habit, and we're wanting to help you form healthy habits. I need to form new healthy habits as well too. So this is really, really exciting. And with this challenge, we have started a new Facebook group. Thank you to our board member Nadia for suggesting an action group. And so Teresa is sharing that group with you guys in the chat right now. And in this group, what we're going to do, please join it, become a member. We're going to have a few moderators on there that will help answer any questions that you have. We really want to, between our events, our first Thursday events, we want to answer any questions that you have while you are on your sustainability journey. I mean, the journey doesn't end, right? There's not a finish line. So we really want to help you with any questions that you have while you are making these new choices and changes in your life. And then also with this particular challenge, we want to see who's going to participate. Please let us know if you're participating. We want you to share pictures. We want to see your ideas. We want to hear of the things that you're doing in your home, because it's going to encourage others. And heck, you might teach me something as well too. So I'm super excited about our 2021 monthly sustainability challenges. So thank you again. And I also want to say one more thank you to Ashley Bath for helping us with our slides today. We love you. We're so sad you weren't able to make it with us today, but we're here with you. So again, thank you, Corey, and thank you everybody for joining. We're going to answer some questions, I think. Is that correct, Corey? Do we have time?
Yeah, if Libby has a few minutes to stick around. I know I see people are jumping off. I know we went over just a little bit, but we can definitely stick around to answer some questions for those that have a little bit more time. Again, we want to thank you each for being with us, and also for your commitment to wanting to learn more. And we, as Megan said, we are here for you, and we're excited to be a part of your journey. Again, thank you to all of our sponsors that support First Thursdays. This is how we're able to bring this program to you. And I've loved all of the positive statements and sharing of ideas in the chat. Keep them coming. Thank you. And I would say with that, we'll see you definitely at the next First Thursday, but we'll stick around and answer a few questions. Libby, are you able to stick around a little bit longer with us if we have some? Okay, great. Thank you.